If you own property in California or plan to someday, whether that be through purchase or inheritance, then you need to understand Prop 19. So let me walk you through a very common situation. Your parents or grandparents bought their home in California decades ago. Let's say like 1985 for what we would consider next to nothing for a house now, so like 200 grand. Now, flash forward and say today it's worth 1.8 million. They pass away and you inherit the house. Under the old rules, you could keep their property tax base, so based on that original $200,000. But under Prop 19, if you don't move into that home within 1 year and file the right paperwork, your property taxes could jump by tens of thousands of dollars per year. And if it's a rental or a second home, in most cases, it gets reassessed to current market value. Most families don't learn about it until someone dies, and by then, the clock is already ticking. If you're new here, hi, I'm Chris Rainwaters, your favorite real estate witch. I'm a licensed realtor here in Southern California, and I look at real estate a little different than most agents out there. Let's get into it. For decades, California operated under a very specific framework. To understand why Prop 19 matters, we have to look briefly at the rules that came before it. So stay with me, I'll get through it as quickly as possible. First was Prop 13, which passed in 1978. Prop 13 fundamentally changed how property taxes work in California. So instead of taxes constantly rising with market value, your property taxes became tied to what you originally paid for the property, which is fabulous. So from that point forward, the assessed value could only increase by up to 2% per year unless the property was sold or ownership changed. That created long-term predictability for property owners. So then in 1986, Proposition 58 added another layer to that system. So Prop 58 allowed parents to pass property to their children without triggering a full property tax reassessment, which meant families could inherit property and keep the same tax base that their parents had. Woohoo, right? So those two rules together created decades of stability. Families could plan around them, but Prop 19, which we voted for in 2020, changed that framework. Now, when a parent passes away and property moves to the next generation, the rules are very different. Only a primary residence may qualify for limited protection, and only if strict conditions are met. The child must move into the property within 1 year, and they must file the proper homeowner exemption paperwork. And even then, taxes can still increase depending on how big the gap is between what the home is currently assessed at under Prop 13 and what it's worth today. If it's a rental property, a second home, or commercial property, in most cases, it's reassessed to current market value. And that can mean thousands, sometimes tens of thousands more per year in property taxes. Quick note here, I am not a CPA or a tax attorney, so once you understand the framework that I'm about to lay out for you, you should absolutely talk with a tax professional about your specific situation. And before we go any further, if you were looking for a video that blames politicians or tells you California is broken or uses this to make you angry, this isn't that video. I am not here to tell you whether Prop 19 is good or bad or who got screwed or who to vote for. I am here to make sure that you understand the framework, so when it affects your family, you're not scrambling to figure it out while you're also grieving. If you're into that, stick around until the end. We're gonna walk through what changed and what that means for anyone who owns or will own property in California. My millennialness is showing. Okay, so how does this actually play out? Well, when a property transfers from parent to child today, the default rule is reassessment to current market value. The only situation where some protection remains is if the home was the parent's primary residence and the child moves into the property within 1 year and files the homeowner exemption. Even then, though, the protection is limited. So if the gap between the current assessed value and the market value is larger than the exclusion amount, which is just a little over $1 million and adjusted for inflation, the taxable value still increases. And if the property is a rental, second home, or commercial property, in most cases, it's reassessed immediately. That's where families start seeing property tax bills jump by thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars per year. Okay, so the protection is limited, it's conditional, and it's time sensitive. That's the part most people don't realize until it's too late. So let's dig in a little deeper now and look at why this matters beyond just one family. So if rental properties get reassessed like this when parents pass away, small landlords often can't absorb that jump. So what happens? They are forced to sell. And when they do, they're not usually selling to the tenant, they're selling to whoever can afford it. That changes neighborhoods, that changes rental supply, and that changes pricing pressure. I'm showing you this not to make you angry at anyone, but so you can plan accordingly. Whether you think this policy is fair or unfair doesn't change the fact that it exists and it affects real families in California right now. So the real question becomes, how do you set yourself and your family up for success knowing this framework exists? First, accept that this is the framework, at least until something else is proposed and we then vote on it, which takes a long time. But I digress, that is a debate for another day. You don't have to like it or agree with it, it just exists, okay? And planning starts with reality. Second, get clear on your intention. If you own property in California, ask yourself, do you want to keep this property long term? Are you trying to create housing stability for your child? Do you plan to hold it as a rental? Or do you and your siblings plan to sell it and distribute the proceeds fairly? Because different goals require different planning. Third, understand your numbers. You should know what the current assessed value for the property in question is under Prop 13. What is the approximate current market value? You can get a CMA from a local licensed realtor like me for no cost. And if you need help finding a great realtor in your area, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help make introductions. And then from those two things, you can determine the gap between those two numbers. You can make way more informed choices once you know that spread. Fourth, talk to professionals early. I would like to share here again that I am not a CPA. I am also not an estate planning attorney. This is not tax advice, but if property matters to your family, you need an estate planning attorney who understands California property tax law and a CPA who understands capital gains and property tax implications. I don't want you to be forced out of your community because of something avoidable. There are planning structures that may help depending on your situation, like trust structures or ownership structuring. There are also timing considerations, but those strategies can only work before the sad thing happens. Because after someone passes away, your flexibility shrinks dramatically. Fifth, have the conversation. Most families avoid this topic because it's uncomfortable, but avoiding it isn't going to prepare your family for what is unavoidably going to happen at some point in the future. Unless you're a billionaire and you're working on living forever, but if you are, I highly doubt that you're watching this video. What does is clarity. This isn't about fear, because I know death can be scary. This is about being intentional. If you live in California and own property or plan to, this is a part of responsible ownership now. Know the rules, know your numbers, know your goal, then build your plan accordingly. If you want to talk this through, not from a panic place, although I am here for you if we need to do that, but from a strategy place, you can book a call with me using the link in the description below. I've also linked free guides, first-time buyers, sellers, and other real estate transitions, so you can start educating yourself at your own pace. If family is everything to you and you've been dreaming about multi-generational living, watch this video next. But whether you work with me or not, the goal is the same. Know the framework, know your numbers, and make decisions intentionally. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one, but hopefully sooner.